Hey, what is up, plant community? Let me just start out that if you like my videos, go ahead and give me a like, share, and subscribe. And go ahead and hit that bell icon so that way you are notified whenever I upload a new video. So, let me just start out with thank you for the people who commented on my last video where I had some trouble times, and I basically told everybody, why I haven't uploaded in a while. And I'm still healing from that. And for the people who commented, I just want to say, thank you. I really appreciate that. You guys are the best. And I really appreciate you guys who actually watched the video and commented. I appreciate that. But with that being said, let's get on a little bit brighter side of things. So let's start off the garden tour with my cycad over here, my Japanese cycad, or which is also known as a sago palm. Not really a palm, but this guy is doing so well. You can see that this foliage, not sure if you can hear that. Anyways, it is starting to harden off. It's done really good. It's done really good this year. Took in partial shade, some direct sun, which you can see on the video. It's doing really well. I'm very happy with this guy. He's doing excellent. And then over here, we have my monkey puzzle tree, which is still quite a young seedling. You can see right here and there, it's starting to get some buds on it, which is awesome. That means eventually, the way those buds are angled, that it will branch out, which is awesome. That's great. I love to know that this is eventually going to branch because it's going to really need it for this winter, just in case maybe I forget it or something and it gets some frost on it. So it's definitely going to need those. And then here we have my rose bush. Now this guy completely died back to the ground. I don't know what all that was about. I think it has something to do with how we're getting warmer here in Indiana, if you believe in that stuff, because I also noticed that just in my other rose bush over here and even my Rose of Sharon's that there was quite a bit of dieback. So anyways, but this guy really died back hard, but it's coming back up like a champ now. So I've done very little pruning to it. I'm just really letting it stick it out for winter time. I've maybe pruned it back just a little bit so that way it can go through the winter just fine. And then over here we have my normal rose bush, which is the only rose bush this year that actually uh, sprouted flowers on it, and it's doing excellent. It's doing really good. Although this branch right there, somebody's gonna whack themselves with it, so I gotta trim that back. I'm probably gonna trim it back to here. That way it back buds from there. So, yeah, it's gonna need a major prune. And then over here we got my European cypress. Of course, some parts of the crown are still fading off and dying off. It's just wow, words. Sorry about that. That's just because I let it get some frost last year during the winter time, and that probably wasn't a good idea. I found out European cypresses only get cold hardy when they get more bigger. They're not. I mean, they can take the cold, but they can't take the frost very well. So, lesson learned. And then here I have my tree fern, which is my silver lady tree fern. Of course, we do have a bit of droopy branches, but those droopy branches are just, well, fronds, are just because of the simple fact that it needs to be watered. Everything along this row is things that will particularly need watered even more so than, say, what some of my other plants will need to be. And then this guy here is my elephant ears. I actually used them as garden plants, but they winded up dying on me at one point in time because I have to dig them up every year. And for some reason they died, and I figured they were gone. And then in some soil with another plant. They just started sprouting, so I don't know how they survived, but they survived, so I'm just gonna, well, take care of them. And then watch the branch there. And then over here, I have my lemon cypress. I put it with a white pot so that way the white pot contrasts against the lemon foliage or lime foliage, anyways. So I figured it looks really good. It's done really well for me. It's taken down to cold temperatures, just like the Norfolk Island Pines has. It's doing really well for me. I have learned that they are fast growers within the pots. So like they grow really fast with the root system rather than they do with the foliage. It's like you got to be on top of that because if not, you're going to be watering way more than you think you would be, and it's just a lot more difficult to keep up with. But yeah, that's something I've learned. I didn't want to lose this guy. It's fairly big, and it wasn't cheap, and I saved it from Walmart during the holidays. So if it's warm again this Christmas, I will more than likely use this guy again for a holiday decoration. And then over here, we have my Pygmy Date Palm, which is doing really well. He's doing great here. We've got, this is just a new frond that's finally opened up. This one's starting to come out. We got this one here, which is starting to unfurl. A lot more longer. We got this one too, which is really strong. And then we got this one. That one's a little bit weaker, but long as it's giving out new foliage, that's all I care about. This was planted up as a 3 trunk, so it'll be a triple trunk. Yeah, when I got this guy, it actually had scale on it, and they're like, well, before you buy it, let's take care of the scale. And it has the dry scale on it. I'm not worried about it because, you know, eventually those branches, they'll just be cut off anyways. But, well, fronds, not branches. Sorry. But yeah, it's doing really well and it's continuing to put out new growth. So, yeah, I'm really happy with it. And then here we have my dad's curly hair spire plant. That's what we call it here, anyways. I'm not sure what other people in different states call it. But yeah, it takes direct sunlight here. It was actually hanging up on that hook, but during a bad storm, the rope actually snapped, and so now my dad, this is my dad's plant. He needs to get a new hanging basket for it now, which it needs a good repot anyways. And then over here we have my mixed pot of English ivy, my normal invasive species of English ivy, my gold baby, and I still don't know the particular name of the white variegated species of English ivy, but whenever I had them here, they're like, I looked it up on Google, and Google basically said that any of the variegated species of ivy needs a lot of shade, and they won't do so well taking direct sun. Well, I'm finding the complete opposite with that. I'm finding that the variegation is more pronounced with the sun, and that they do quite fine within the sun, but of course it doesn't get all day sun either. It's doing really good here. Glad that it's there. It gives a little contrast up against the window. So, yeah, it's doing good. Happy to have it. And then here we have one of my species of ginger that I saved from Walmart when it was looking really god awful and bad. It's doing really well here, growing like a champ. And it's continuing to put out new growth, so hopefully it'll flower soon. Because I'll be really happy to see that. And I did let it go into dormancy for the winter. And then down here we have my blue star fern, which is doing really well. It's gotten a bit fried. When I got it, it was fried a little bit around the edges, but it's doing really good. It is a little fried on the longer fronds, but I think honestly it'd be more fried if it wasn't for this palm protecting it from the sun and giving it dappled light. So I try to use everything like a natural forest so that way things are protected. And then here, of course, we got my beautiful Majesty palm. These are the older fronds, so they're kind of worn out, damaged, which is fine. That's okay. A little bit of sun scorch. That's all right though. This here is an older frond. Um, it, its growth actually got a bit stunted because it was in that pot for the longest time, and I just couldn't get a big pot for it. This pot cost me $30, so I was like a $30 pot, and honestly, this is going to be the limitation of how big I can actually get this palm tree. If it forms a trunk, wonderful. If it doesn't, well, at least I could say I'm the only one, mainly in Indiana now, who's grown a palm tree from a little guy to something bigger. Hopefully, you'll get a trunk. If we look in here, it's getting a little bit of a trunk on it already, so that's awesome to see. And it's got this nice strong spear coming up. It did get a little bit of scale when I brought it out here, but I sprayed it with neem oil and soap, and ever since then I haven't seen no scale on here. It's actually seen cold temps whenever it just randomly snapped. So like there was one time I left it out here because it was only going to get the low of 35. Well, I woke up, it was 33, and there was snow on this frond weighing it down, and surprisingly it just took it like a champ, and I was amazed. I wouldn't recommend doing that though, because I'm sure that was major stress on that poor guy. And then down here we have the flowers, and these guys, I don't know the particular names of them. Of course, they're droopy. Everything out here needs a bit of watering done to it, but it's doing really well, doing good. So is the flowers now, the petunias. I know when I first put them out here, they were a bit dramatic because I really had to split them up, divide them from that big pot. So that way it adds a hanging contrast of flowers against the red pot, which looks nice with the palm tree, but they're all doing really well now. And then over here we have my fishtail palm, which hasn't given me any new growth from right here yet, so I don't know what's going on with that. This looks like it has starting to grow out a bit more. I think I may have not given it enough fertilizer, palm fertilizer, I'm not sure, but I think it just really needs separated because this is about as big as I can allow that to grow within the pot. And I haven't had time to go to Northern Tropics yet to particularly ask them how I would go about dividing this so that way there's more soil for the root system. And then over here we have my Norfolk Island pines, which are starting to back bud. Not back bud, but bud. Sorry. Did a few bits of things for bonsais. And they're doing good. Doing really good. They're really growing. So that's good. I always love to see them grow. They have took it down temps to 35. 34 at the max. I don't let them try to see anything lower than that because at that point it's just too cold for them. My African flowers in here that I planted that were red, yeah, they didn't do so good. They did. They did. Ain't nothing really to it. And then this guy right here that I planted up is doing really well. It actually gave me a flower right here, but that flower is gone. My main goal is to get wrapping around this pole so there's some interesting flowers up there that look tropical. Of course, the flowers are small now, but they'll get bigger in the future. And then here we have my walkway of beautiful daylilies, which I think give a nice tropical vibe. These daylilies do. They just have that tropical esque flower that I just really love. The orange, and I love the pink and yellows, which are a light pink and yellows. I just really do think that they give a nice tropical vibe, especially along a walkway where there's palm trees. So, Chinese fan palm is doing really well. I might have to repot this guy next year. It's just growing like a champ. New spear here, new spear there. Even a nice strong growth right in there. It's doing good. It's taken our Indiana weather like a champ. It's gotten snow on it. I've let it see temps down to 33. It's done really well out here. And then here we got my windmill palm, slow growing. I think it just had to settle in for a bit. And once it did, it's now starting to push out some growth, which is awesome. This is an old frond, so it is a bit damaged. This is the newer frond, and we got a new frond right here starting to come up, which is always great to see. And then over here, we have my cycad. It is a Dioun spinulosum. Now, it did have new fronds, much bigger fronds than this originally. And I set it out here for December, and I'll be danged if the wind just did come by and blow those really big, beautiful fronds off. Those fronds were about as big as me, really. Maybe as tall up on my chest, really. But the growth is a bit stunted because I kept it in that pot for a bit, which it's doing good now. I'm trying not to touch it too much because you can see kind of that back right there, how it kind of glistens in the sun, and even on the fronds. That's its form of sunscreen to protect it from the direct sun. These are older fronds right here, which are starting to fade, which is alright. I'll keep them until they completely fade away, like this one is here, where it's starting to turn yellow. And then once they completely fade away, I'll go ahead and come back. But till then, they're still technically helping the cycad and helping it photosynthesize. And then here we have my giant, well, not really giant, I call them big elephant ears. They form more of a pseudostem than they do anything. And it's doing really well. This is the newest leaf. This is a much older leaf. And the flowers, which I see need to be weeded out already, are doing really well. Some, they kind of lost their color, but it might have been because I was watering it a bit too much. And then over here, the one that was kind of blech, kind of lost half of its stem, is doing really well. It's doing good. It's putting out this guy, which is much smaller, but I think it's really gonna. These flowers kind of ain't doing so well here, are they? Huh. Wonder why that is. But otherwise than that, I did mow too, so sorry about the grass within the garden. I need a. I really wish I could get a lawnmower out here, man, to where it just picks up the grass, but not allowed out here in government housing. But anyways, it's doing really well. It's giving off the offshoots, which I've got to try to save and maybe put in a different pot just in case I do lose this guy. And then over here we have my canna lilies and my calla lilies. I lost one over there, so I don't have one to match this, but they're doing fairly good. These guys are kind of slow growing this year. I have no clue why they're so slow growing, but hopefully they'll get there. And then my mop cypress or gold mop cypress is doing good. It's actually grown a bit from what I see. And then here we have my beautiful, beautiful shrub with a white picket fence. I wish I had white picket fence. Why? Just so see if people would get the reference. But Rose of Sharon's doing really good. Looking beautiful. Love them. They give that tropical vibe. They kind of give a hibiscus vibe. Love them. Love to see them grow. Actually had hibiscus right here, but for some reason they just died. They didn't do nothing for me. And then here we have my Cordyline Australis doing really good. This is all new growth on the top. The yellow leaves down there are the older fronds. It's doing really good. It's getting a bit of a trunk on it, which is good. That just means that it's making it more cold hardy. I've actually had them out here with temps as low as 33. I don't really let him see frost unless I accidentally forget about him, but I don't forget about him in a hard frost. Doing really good. Excellent out here. very good, long as you can provide protection or even zone push this guy. And then again, sorry about the grass. That's just stuff that's just going to have to fade away. No garden is perfect. Here we have my red banana. It's putting out some of those big old leaves now. The yellow leaves are starting to, well, the bottom leaves are starting to yellow up. And what I usually do is when I see them yellowing up like that, I go ahead and cut them away. So that way it can help the banana grow a bit faster. I just love this guy so much in the garden. He adds an interesting contrast. I can't really see it on that one, but here you can see more of the red, which I just love on the red bananas. And then here we have my queen palm. Queen palm is doing good. Did get a bit of grass in it because of, well, had to mow. So it's doing good. I am expecting these older fronds to eventually just fade out and fizzle out, but it's got this new frond, which is looking really well, looking good. So I'm happy to see it grow. I'm happy to see it doing really well. And then in here, of course, we got this newer frond, and I will let it experience its first winter out here. I will pop it out of the ground, though, just in case we get some frost. And then let's go over to the desert garden. Some of the grass is pretty dead, even though we got a little bit of rain. So in the desert garden, Yucca is looking a bit iffy. I wonder if he'll make it this year. And then, of course, my native cacti or prickly pear cacti are doing excellent in the garden, as they always tend to do. And then we have my silver squill, which is doing all right out here. And then we got the yucca, which is doing pretty well out here, actually, taking a lot of direct sun. Then this guy over here, which is my rock fig, he lost some leaves. Watering was the issue there. And then this is my mom's palm. It's not really a palm. It is a Madagascar palm, they call it. Taking direct sun, doing really well out here. Wouldn't want to catch it though. Made that mistake once, and boy, did I regret that decision. And then we have this jade right here, which is doing really good. So that's that area for the front garden. So let's go over to the crops. The crops over here are doing really good, really well. You can see that I'm getting a bit of tomatoes on them, which is good. My beef tomatoes doing good. My peppers need some water. Don't know what's going on with the corn there, but something's going on with the corn. I don't like the way that corn's looking because I like sweet corn. All my onions are gone. Birds ate them. Next year, I'm going to do it a bit differently. I'm going to get onion bulbs and plant them. My potato vines are doing really good. And my corn, like I said, I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, so that's really about everything for the front garden. So, yeah, this is the front garden area. I try to trash. Don't like that. Dang fireworks. And then we did get some new chairs. The chairs I had was breaking down and wasn't doing so well out here anymore. So, yeah, this is pretty much it. This is the garden tour. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a good rest of the day.